Cavallo di Battaglia, and welcome to Shift+F1, a podcast about speedy race cars. That, by the way, is Italian for battle horse.
Wow.
If something is your battle horse, it is your area of expertise or your best work. Verstappen sure seemed to be astride his battle horse this weekend, but we'll get to that a bit later. I'm Drew Scanlon. Joining me, Danny O'Dwyer. How are you, Danny?
I'm doing good, Drew. I might have to throw up a yellow flag here. That sounds somewhat familiar. We may have used that idiomatic expression like 10 years ago. We might finally have run out.
Stewards can go back in the archives.
Exactly. They're going to have to check.
Why would you point this out?
Why would I do this? Why would I self-sabotage?
Yeah, we could, like, nobody's going to know.
Same reason I drink too much and I just have this streak in me, man. I gotta self-sabotage, and all the people around me, I have to drag down with me as well. I'm sorry, Rob. Welcome to the event horizon.
To be fair, we certainly did not run out. Italian has one of the largest, when I search for it, the largest compendium of idioms. But I think when you see battle horse, you just naturally gravitate toward that. Rejoining the field safely on the correct side of the bollard. Rob Zacking, how are you, Rob?
Oh, man. Once we finally were able to watch F1 with our TV hooked up, and because when we came in, they left us like their shitty old TV.
Oh, no.
And like ancient Sonos soundbar. And I was like, we can make do with this. We can watch, what was the race before this most recent one? Was it Hungary?
Yeah.
Zandvoort, that's right. Oh, yeah. This is where I have no idea what time is. I was like, how bad can it be? And we watched like qualifying, and I was like, I would rather die. Like, sorry, we have to. We have to strip this place to the studs. We need to get the real TV hooked up here. We can't live like this.
You have a legendary set of speakers in your house, though, right?
Yes. However, as part of our pre-move, like tidying up, the heavy-duty AV equipment ended up in a storage locker.
Okay.
So what we are running right now is the Sony Bravia quad speakers, which are fucking awesome, by the way. Like, they are shockingly good out of a box surround setup. But currently, I have the giant speakers. They're just objects. They're aesthetic objects that are just like creating a vibe in the living room.
Okay, yeah.
But they're not hooked up to anything.
Okay. And you're in a new house. Congratulations.
Thank you
for the move.
I am talking to you from my little studio in-law apartment just off the main house.
Oh, beautiful.
So yeah, like I was like, man, I'm not going to hear the dogs. It's going to be so. I've heard the dogs all morning. My wife is outside looking at trees that are sort of impinging on power lines.
Oh yeah, fun.
And while she's out sort of touring that, the dogs are just losing their shit. And I was like, well, obviously there's no way the dogs are going to bother me. It really bothers me, guys. Like, somehow it's worse, like, them being just a little bit audible than them. You know what I mean?
Oh,
like, sometimes,
funny,
like noise, like, right in your face is almost easier to screen out because it's like, wow, that's really loud. I'll just tune that out. But it just being like distant, just like keeps cresting the threshold into like intruding on your attention is like way worse. So we were talking about baffling before the show. Like that works two ways, right? Like if I baffle the shit out of this place, that'll sort of deaden my like reflectivity in the room. Will it also keep things quiet from coming? Like, will it make things less audible outside?
I think
the
less
studio?
so. I think sound isolation is different from echo, reverb.
I got to do both. So I'm gonna have to cover the room in like acoustic.
You have to vacuum seal yourself.
Yeah.
Double pane windows.
Man.
Yeah.
Oh shit. Okay.
This you need to get like your the foundations need to be on springs.
This just days after I discover it's going to cost me like $10,000 to bring down an old tree that's currently looming over the garage. just like threatening. Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, exactly. It is just like ready to come down.
Chekhov's branch.
100%.
Awesome. Well, good luck. If you are new to this podcast, a very warm welcome to you. And if you are new to Formula One itself, we've got an episode just for you, our preseason primer. assumes no prior F1 knowledge and explains how the sport works and who everybody is. So if you'd like to go back and listen to that, it's episode 298. Also, this show would not be possible without our audience over at patreon.com/shiftf1, where every month we release ad-free versions of the podcast early, along with bonus pods and videos exclusively for our patrons that cover racing documentaries and films, F1 video games, experiments with other racing series, and a lot of weird things. So if you would like to support the show and get access to all that fun stuff, head over to patreon.com/shiftf1 or click the link in the show notes. What do we have going on this month, Danny?
This month we have a couple of themes coming up with our movie selections. We're going to do movies for the next 2 months for at least. Next month is it's Samhain. You know, it's Halloween, the second best holiday Ireland gave the world after Paddy's Day. So we're going to do some hilariously bad. We're going to do some spooky movies for that one. We're going to have the patrons vote on them. But this month we are going to do some hilariously bad driving movies and get the patrons to vote on them. So if you're a patron over at patreon.com/shiftf1, keep your eyes peeled. You are going to be choosing between The Car from 1977, which kind of straddles the line between hilarious and spooky. Trading Paint, which is a movie from 2019, which is a movie I did not know exist until I saw this list. Michael Madsen, John Travolta from 2019. And also, did I say Shania Twain or someone was acting in it?
You sure did.
Traditionally not an actor, so Trading Paint, interested in that. And then, of course, Torque from 2004. Who could remember? Who can forget just putting down Half-Life 2 for a couple of hours to go watch Torque at your local Cinemaplex to see basically the Fast and Furious on bikes. So yeah, they're all presumably terrible movies. We're going to be allowing the patrons to vote on that, and we'll have that up in the next couple of weeks.
Now, let me just toss out Body Parts, 1991. What if he had an evil limb? I think is the thing. And I believe there's cars involved. I think there's handcuffing the evil limb to someone else in a different car. And
Body Parts. Is this?
Yeah.
What was the Idle Hands? That was another one.
Oh,
This is a subgenre of what we call that?
Haunted evil body
Phantom
horror.
limb horror.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's pretty good. Yeah, okay. We need a third though. If you're gonna do that, you need 3.
All right, we'll investigate to try to figure out if there's
Adam's
a third.
Family.
Are there cars in the? No, there really aren't.
I feel like
there's a pretty good one in Wednesday.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Is that good? Because like so much.
I watched the first season.
Yeah.
It's entertaining.
I don't know. I just need. I'm mostly here for Gomez, and you know that's kind of what that's what I celebrate.
Yeah. All right. Well.
Hey,
celebrate.
I haven't even said the name of our title sponsors yet, and here you are
The patrons.
skipping.
No.
You. Sorry. There you go. So you're like skipping off to Italy already.
No.
Well, we have to collect up all of our friends, including some new ones. And some great renaming from our incredible title sponsors, including My Neck, My Back, My Crack, Dr. V, the chicken finger pita, Jeff Stollark. How do you say that one? Stollark. Jeff, I'm sorry. Stollark. Stalagmite. Stalactite. Matt and Harmony, and Deange. It's a me Ferrario. Cryptocurrency. Wow. Is that better than online gambling? Who knows? Mojo Nixon Gaming F1.
I think it is online gambling.
Yeah, good point. Get Rich or Die Ryan, Agave ATX, Cyphers Training, Turf SCS, Michael Maves, Mission Winnow, TelemetryDeck.com, FTC, Drew Stewart, Bailey Foot, the other Jason. Oh, Jason's rebranded himself. Abraham Getchell, Bunny Money. I like that. That's good. It's like Bunny. I like that Bunny fiend. Snigs, Alex Goucher, Max Voltar Keyboards, Jeff Foster, Troy Stammer, William Rompf, Rob Zodeman.
Did it make the move?
It did.
Is it there?
There's a lot of things where I was like, I'm going to get rid of this piece of shit. And then it was like, oh, we are broke. So this piece of shit, welcome to your new home.
Lachlan the Maddened Man, Samurai Love Story, and Jason Kelly. The original Jason. the other Jason. Thank you all so much for your support. You absolute legends as we barrel into the latter half of this season.
Indeed. Well, let's get right to it, shall we? The Italian Grand Prix, the Temple of Speed, Monza, the second of the Italian Grand Prix.
Indiana Jones and Temple of Speed, my favorite one.
Yes. Nope. I have no references that aren't problematic.
Okay.
Max Verstappen on pole. The fastest ever qualifying lap in Formula One history in terms of average speed at 164.465 miles per hour.
Yeah.
Or 264. That's a funny conversion. Kilometers per hour. He's also the Red Bull driver with the most pole positions now at 45.
Took him a little while there.
Max Verstappen
to beat it.
He's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Second place, Lando Norris. He nearly didn't make it out of Q2.
Yes.
But he did.
He had a tricky
and now
run.
he's lining up in second. Oscar Piastri third. Charles Leclerc fourth at Ferrari's one of their home races, I suppose. George Russell will line up fifth after a miscommunication with his pit wall about using medium tires. He said, I guess there was a conversation between him and his race engineer saying, "Do you want to save these tires?" And he said, "Yes." And I guess it was unclear whether that meant for the race or for the next part of qualifying.
Right.
He liked the medium tires, but they put him on softs. Kimi Antonelli, sixth. Gabriel Bortoleto in the Sauber out qualifying Nico Hülkenberg for, I think, the sixth time this season. Fernando Alonso, eighth. Yuki Tsunoda, ninth. And Lewis Hamilton, 10th. He qualified fifth, but has a 5-place grid penalty from the previous round for failing to slow for yellow flags.
Yes. Unfortunately.
Behind the top 10 here, we've got Oliver Behrman in 11th, Nico Hülkenberg 12th, Carlos Sainz 13th, Alex Albon 14th, Esteban Ocon 15th, and then Stroll, Colapinto, Liam Lawson, Hadjar, and Gasly. The two of those qualified 16th and 19th, respectively, but will start from the pit lane after modifying their cars.
Yeah, poor Hadjar did not get out of Q1.
It's such a tight margin. It was like his Q1 time was a half a second off of the leader, and he got booted.
Yeah, it's Monza's pretty compressed that way. It was a funny qualifying. Q3, it wasn't their final runs. It was the penultimate runs that were the fast ones. It was clearly a decent amount of track evolution happening, and nobody was really able to top their speed on the final go around.
Track de-evolution.
Yeah, so interesting though to see. You know, it's a straight line speed track. This isn't a high corner speed. I mean, there are high speed corners at Monza for sure, but it's all about straight line speed here. So not massively surprising that the McLarens were not the beneficiaries of that.
Being stronger in the corners.
Yeah,
You mean?
yeah, but I mean being not as fast in the straights, which is what the Red Bull is pretty good at, high downforce, etc.
Right. Well, before we even start, we get a retirement. Unfortunately for Nico Hülkenberg, there's a problem with his car. He's told to box to retire on the formation after the formation lap.
Bummer.
Hydraulic issue, I guess. But I'm not going to say it's the most exciting race, but it may have been one of the more exciting starts of the season. Danny, do you want to take us through it?
Sure, Verstappen gets a good start. I mean, they all get a good start. Lando eats a bit of grass on the right-hand side, trying to get up alongside Max for the crucial turn into turn one. I don't know who I want to say. I want to say
they
Max.
pull even.
They do. I think Max still is ahead on the apex maybe, but they make the turn. Lando, I don't know if he squeezes. I would say that he squeezes Max out. Max has to sort of jump over the now bollardless little cut across there on the not the official escape road, which is at the apex of the turn, or the opening of the apex, more at the closing or in between the two turns here on turn 1 and 2 little configuration. He jumps across there and retains the position, but during all that, it's Charles Leclerc, right? Is it? Who manages to pull up, ahead of Piastri.
Yes, Piastri I think
has to 10th.
has to slow down to avoid hitting Norris in that turn 1-2 complex, which does allow Leclerc to take the outside line around turn 2 and get ahead of Piastri on the ensuing Curva Grande.
Exactly. Curva Grande, big curve. And they do fight down into the next set of set of corners, but they're still even Steven down into there until they get down to the Lesmos, and then you've got a fantastic overtake by Piastri on the first one around the outside of Charles Leclerc, which is pretty impressive.
Yeah. So the Leclerc overtake of Piastri, that was lap 2, right?
I think it's lap 1.
Okay.
Because Leclerc has to check up to avoid hitting Norris.
Right. Okay.
So Piastri somehow sneaks around the outside of Leclerc at the first of the 2 right-hand Lesmo corners, which completely baffles Julian Palmer.
Yeah, we never see overtaking
what?
there.
Yeah.
I think what happened, when I remember watching on replay, is that through the section after Curva Grande, Charles had a bit of a overly defensive line into the first one, so he came out of the second one sort of in an awkward position, which meant that Piastri just basically took those turns for speed instead of defense, so he had a much better line, which is why he was able to get the speed difference. But still, you never tend to see, the cars are pretty heavily loaded going into that turn because of the speed that they're taking, and it's pretty sharp. So it was a pretty, I'm not sure if Charles left the gap, but maybe he didn't close the gap, which
To your point,
also
Danny,
fair.
It would also require a car to be really good in the corners, which the McLaren is. It just seemed like,
right,
like it was just he's out for a Sunday drive, just driving around a slower traffic. Really made it look easy.
So I think they told Max to give the position back.
They
before
did.
before the director, before the stewards could weigh in,
Mm-hmm.
and it was one of those things where, given body of work, I was like, there goes Max again. But on replay, I really don't know where. Like, Norris takes that entire chicane, and Max has to cut, and it's one of those things where there are places where there simply are not 2 viable lines through a corner. Like, physically, yes, you could fit 2 cars around each other, but not with the momentum involved, not with any kind of speed. Someone's get completely screwed in that. Norris does not. He takes the turn 1 2 chicane like you do normally, and Max is stuck on the outside of him for the first part of it and just has to cut. I think he would have had an okay case fighting it, but it also seems like they had every reason to be confident in their overall race pace with this, and especially because you do have some discretion about when you give that place back, and you can put the screws to someone if you generously return the place to them right at a moment where you're going to be set up with another burst of DRS to really get him. But yeah, Piastri really gets screwed in all this because him getting balked and served up on a plate for Leclerc was pretty unfortunate. Kind of a horror start for McLaren.
Yeah, I'm with Rob on this one. I think, I've been very critical of Max's over defensive or aggressiveness into those turns. And then also the other thing that he tends to do, which is maybe put himself in a position where he can bail out earlier, make it look super obvious. And in neither of these cases was he doing that. And it kind of looked like he was ahead at the apex as well. So I was kind of like, oh, surprising. If this was flipped around, I would have been similarly empathetic towards Norris. But yeah, I've also found this to be maybe more of a Red Bull making the smart decision rather than fighting over scraps here. I think they knew that they had the straight line speed and let's just give it back and win the place back. We've got plenty of laps to do it.
I just wonder, is there like a different standard that should exist for lap 1 a little bit as well? Because there's some things where, like, if this is a duel that's going on for a number of laps and like Lando is making that attack and unfolds this way, you can see it a little bit more like, is that really sporting? But lap 1, everyone is like half trying to gain positions but also trying to avoid accidents. This kind of maintain status quo in some ways. I'm not sure. I am curious what the stewards would have done had they gotten involved. They were pretty active this weekend, I will say. Like my expectation is they might have weighed in because they started really adjudicating. We'll get into this. We get into the race, but the turn 4, turn 5 chicane. They started having real strong opinions about how people were racing that.
Yeah. Well, Verstappen does give the position back on the front straight on lap 2, allowing Norris to take the lead. And as they head through turn 2, Piastri is pushed wide then by Verstappen, which allows Leclerc to cut back and pass around the outside of Curva Grande again. Piastri tries to take the outside at the second chicane, but Leclerc jukes over, causing Piastri to put on the brakes. Lap 4, and this was surprising to me, I guess, because I hadn't followed practice as closely. But Verstappen has stuck with Norris and makes a move around the outside as they head into turn 1, this time with enough space to own the corner himself with authority and grab the inside of turn 2, retaking the lead of the race. And in the background, it looks like Leclerc locks up and has to cut turn 2, but keeps third place.
He does, yeah. Decent flat spot on those, I bet.
Yeah. Lap 5, Hamilton gets Alonso on the inside of turn 1 for 7th, having started 10th. Lap 6, Piastri not done fighting Leclerc, and here he goes to the outside as they head down the front straight and keeps ahead through that first chicane, retaking third place. So even though this was an exciting opening 6 laps, we are now right back to the top 5 we started with.
This is right where I was like, this race is incredible. This is going to be an all-timer. Oh my God, this is perfect. This is everything Monza should be. I can't wait to see what the rest of this race is going to bring.
and crucially as well, Piastri is about 4 seconds behind Norris at this stage. So there's a significant gap between them.
Yeah. Hamilton not done climbing the order. He gets by around the outside of Bortoleto on the front straight for 6th place. And more action. Lap 18, Antonelli, having lost some places at the start, dives down the inside of Tsunoda at turn 1 for 9th. And then lap 25, we cut to Alonso, whose car is running slowly and kind of tilted. And on replay, as he rides over some bumps, the front right suspension breaks, which is kind of scary.
Yeah, he took a bit more curve here than... I mean, this is one of these situations where he takes that curve, nothing happens, no one ever says anything. But like you watch a couple of cars make their way through that complex and he does go a little bit wider, but yeah, you shouldn't have your front right suspension just basically snapping when that happens.
I mean, vibrations are weird, man.
Hey, man, vibrations harmonics are awesome, man. And it got it
the vibes. The vibes were too strong. He pits to retire. Lap 38, getting some pit stop action here. Verstappen pits, has a good stop, so basically now McLaren's only chance is a safety car, where they would get a cheaper pit stop, and they almost get it on lap 41 when Behrman tries a dive up the inside of Carlos Sainz at the second chicane, bumping his right front into Sainz's rear left, spinning them both. And then, unfortunately for McLaren, they both rejoined the race. Behrman, though, handed a 10-second penalty and I think a couple points on his license, bringing him to, I think if he gets 2 more, he gets a race ban.
I feel like this... I wish I'd have a little document of incidents that I could go back to, because I have a feeling that this is a pattern with Carlos where he doesn't know how to get out of crashes. Because this is Behrman's fault. He's behind at the apex, yada yada yada. Carlos just takes the racing line through this section, just expecting Behrman to not be there in a sort of a all right,
yes, you had the right to do that, but should you have?
But I'm not sure it was this. Yeah, he really cuts in early, expecting Behrman to brake or whatever. But that, the problem with taking up that inside line is that you have to brake late to cut the apex because you're coming in at such a disadvantageous angle.
I'm glad to hear you say that, because I've also started to, the last couple weeks I've had a few moments where I'm like, it's not necessarily your fault. For instance, Sainz picking up that penalty was like super heavy-handed for like maybe a 50-50 incident, but there's a lot of moments where it's like, hey, dude, you may not have caused the accident, but you didn't avoid it, and it doesn't help your team if the other guy, it was his fault. We did, yeah, but you put your race and your team's car in the hands of someone else while you're trying to do like a move that if they don't behave exactly the way you want, you're going to be in trouble. And the whole race could go away from you in that moment. And he just doesn't choose his moments for that super well. And he kind of just goes and then complains when it goes bad after. And where he is in the field, he's dealing with dudes like Tsunoda, Lawson, Behrman, people who are like a little edgy and a little hungry anyway. So they're going to be a little more elbows out and maybe a little less adroit at like avoiding these incidents. And he keeps having them. And it's like one of those things where if you're an insurance adjuster, right? If you're an insurance agent, it's like, okay, that's 3 no-fault accidents.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's 3 accidents. Who has those?
There's a great A/B test for this a couple of laps later where Albon overtakes Kimi Antonelli in basically the same spot. But he crucially has done the overtake by the time they get down there, so he's able to take close to the racing line when he does it.
Well, and he baits the illegal move out of Antonelli, right?
Yes.
Antonelli gets done for running him off, which he does. Alex flat-foots it over the grass into the second variante and still makes the overtake. And so that's kind of like the goofus and gallant of it. You got Sainz who's like, fuck it, I'll go to the outside, which also seems iffy because I think Ocon drew a penalty over this as well, where he was like, the road narrows there. It happens as you head into second variante. So like someone goes to the outside, everything tapers and funnels. So the outside looks tempting, but it's actually a bad place to be. Albon, I think, went inside onto the grass, drew the penalty, and still got the move done.
Yeah.
Well, up at the front, McLaren now has to decide who to pit first. They call Norris in first, being the leader, but he requests that Piastri go first, as long as there is no danger of an undercut, which his engineer assures him of.
Which is because the team is slightly worried about Leclerc. They're not really worried about Verstappen doing it under, that's not really a play here, but that's what they're trying to protect against Leclerc. So it's kind of like a team decision.
Right. So Piastri comes in first, has a 1.9 second pit stop.
It looked like a fast pit stop.
It looked fast, and it was.
I was excited to see what the time was, and then it was sub 2. You're like, oh yeah, that was fast.
Norris then pits and has an abysmal stop, 5.9 seconds due to some problem with the front left. So he comes out.
Yeah, a problem with the jack, and maybe the jack person, because it was a rough one where like one of the other jack folks.
You mean the
like,
gun?
No.
The gun, it has to be
the operator.
Dude,
has to like
it
point.
Looks like somebody like, hey, you want to finish tightening that fucking nut? Like it's not a good moment.
No,
like,
the wheel holder like taps them on the gun, like do the thing.
I get it. Like if you watch it, the gun operator like zooms in and tightens the nut and then pulls the gun back out, and on the ring around the gun, it's flashing green and red.
Yeah,
which probably means bad, right? But if you're so focused on I have one job, in, out, that's it. And if you're so focused on just doing that, waiting for the car to go, you maybe don't see the flashing lights, and so your buddy has to tap you. But yes, it apparently, I guess that reads like, torque levels, and so if it doesn't
engage all the
get
way.
enough, it doesn't feel enough torque on the nut, it's like you got to keep going. So yeah, that was rough. He comes out behind Piastri.
Oh my god, it was so bad. I immediately was like,
Yeah.
oh, this is going to be
It happened.
like I
It
went
happened.
to I went to his radio feed on the audio
Right.
because I was like, I just
yeah.
need to hear. And as he's rolling down the pits, they're like, it's going to be close with Piastri on exit. And it's like, oh, it's going to be close in the wrong direction, my friend.
Yeah.
he's going to be seeing his back end just vanishing in front of him.
Watching that happen was like manifest destiny, because you're like, oh, the McLarens are have to do their pit strategy. Oh, Piastri's coming in first, and then your brain immediately goes, wouldn't it be funny if he had a really fast pit stop and Lando had a very slow pit stop? And then literally that happens. Like, I remember when Lando went in and it was stuck, I was like, it happened, like, because you've been thinking about it for the past lap and a half, and then it was so.
It's like,
from
what's the
that
most
perspective,
awkward thing that can happen right now?
yes. What would be funny? And it literally happened. You're like, oh, how are they going to deal with this? Because the thing is, you think like in a team order situation, generally you're thinking like, oh, pit stops are just like, that's like wind, man. That's just part of the nature of racing, and you are going to have to deal with it. But the argument in this situation, you could also make like, oh, I guess.
It's so bad. It's like, it is bad. Pit stops are fortunes of war. That's true.
Right.
But also it's so awkward to be like, so we fucked up. And I guess that just means you lost second place in this race, because that's just how the cookie crumbles, even though it is our guys who kind of botched it. It seemed like it was going to be nightmarish. It turned out not to be. Piastri raked them over the coals a little bit when they were like, we need to swap the cars. And he made the point that, hey, like, pit stops, that's just racing. But whatever. And it did seem, it seems like the play for where things are at in this championship right now. Like, I think there might be a moment where the stakes are going to be so high that they finally, like the prisoner's dilemma thing, one of them defects and is like, fuck it, I'm taking this win. I don't think we're there.
Right.
And I don't think Piastri has to be there, given that he has this lead, so we can, he gives up a few points here, but he maintains like papaya rules. And we're not at the moment where it's like, fuck it, I'm putting a shiv in this guy's back for glory. We're not at that moment.
But that's the thing, is that like when it was happening, I was thinking, and I'm sure many fans were thinking, is this the moment? Like, is this the moment where he goes like nega Piastri, right? Does he have his, because at a certain stage, like, that is a tactical consideration within the team. And like the thing, I think McLaren has like a untraditional team cohesion when it comes to this stuff. I think they are maybe, especially for a team this far ahead, like they genuinely do have two number one drivers fighting for which I don't really think you can say, like, even the year Rosberg won. I don't think they really had, Mercedes had two number one drivers for those years. But McLaren does. And McLaren has this ethos, and has had for a while, that like they are all racing together as a team. Like, even Piastri was giving Lando a tow in quali, right, in Q3. So like, they're kind of a special case. And also these guys are both young, where this, eventually it's going to happen. And it didn't happen at Monza, but there's going to be a moment where Piastri is like, okay, I'm sprinting to the finish on my own. Like, I have the gap. I don't want, I don't want to hurt myself in any way. It may not happen, but I really thought it might happen here. That Piastri might be like, no, I'm taking the win. I'm a champion.
Yeah, I think a few things here. One is,
or not the win, second. Sorry,
Yeah,
should
right.
be mentioned. Verstappen is like
I mean,
15 seconds ahead at this stage.
that definitely, that's an aspect of it. I think
it is.
It seemed like everyone was aligned after the race. Even Piastri was basically like, listen, it wasn't there weren't other cars. If it was the case where there were cars between me and Norris, then you're talking about like handing points to other teams.
Right.
And that's not what we're about. Like that, and Stella kind of confirms that. Andrea Stella, the team principal of McLaren, like, then we would not have done it, right? But here it's like it's apples to apples in terms of the team points. So I think the other thing is, at least at this stage, when it's not deciding the championship, right? Like if it comes down to that, then I think you're right, Danny. We might have a different situation. But if the team says that these are the kinds of calls that we're going to make, we're going to focus on fairness here. If you as a driver agree to that and then comport yourself in that way, then that the team will have your back in other cases. I mean, that's what they said to Piastri here. Like, hey, this is a bit like Hungary last year. Yep. So right. I know this is uncomfortable, but you need to do it. And I think that, in a weird way would give confidence to both drivers, right? Like if Piastri is like, all right, yeah, I'll pull over because I know that Norris is going to pull over later. Or the team is not going to favor one or the other. It doesn't seem like there are any cracks showing here necessarily, but I think you're right. It doesn't negate the possibility of someone going full goblin mode.
And if nothing else,
sorry, go ahead.
If nothing else, it gave us one of the funniest team radio moments of the year, with Max Verstappen being updated on the status of which McLaren is behind him, and just laughing.
Yeah.
Jump here like, not our business, Max, but
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we'll talk about it.
Yeah. He literally laughs over the radio like, really? They swapped just because he had a slow stop?
My feeling, though, is that fundamentally it's an interesting moment. It was awkward, but I think for the reasons you outlined, Danny, it's probably the right call. Like, we all have to live with each other. Like, they're two number one drivers, young. We're going to be in these situations a lot. If things go to plan, we're going to be in these situations a lot over the coming 4, 5, 10 years maybe. And so everything has to be done in that. Like the minute it becomes every man for himself, like that can't be undone. And so it's been interesting to me seeing how controversial this decision was in traditional F1 media, and that's just how it goes. And it's like, this is not the same sport it was 20 years ago.
Yeah, exactly.
This isn't team orders in the Schumacher Ferrari sense. That's not what is happening here. To an extent, some of the controversy around here, there's a tendency. I think it's a really conservative or right wing tendency in a lot of sports punditry. That's well, that's just what happened, and fuck it. If you don't like it, tough. That's just
yeah. Exactly.
You didn't get a good result. Well, why do you cry about it?
Facts don't have feelings.
Yeah, and I fundamentally think that that's kind of loser shit. When I hear about it, it's like when I hear that frequently, my response to it is yeah, okay, so you don't have power in your own life, so you like the idea of seeing people, you like seeing athletes get done by just tough breaks too, and also not be able to do anything about it, because then you feel we all face the same shitty reality. But this is one of those cases where they had a slow pit stop. It was the team's fault. Norris should have retained second place easily had this gone remotely to plan. That falls to the team. It is on them to sort of make that right. You can't be that's just how racing is, when it's the same pit crew, it's the same team for both drivers. This isn't a ill-timed crash. We all bear these risks together, and we can mitigate these risks for each other in a way that we can't with other teams. So we might as well do it. And the notion that this somehow became controversial, I think, is kind of ridiculous, right? Max can laugh about it, but he has the same right-wing, tough love tendencies anyway. They're practically bred into him. He finds it odd, but I kind of don't. I'm kind of surprised when I see the reaction to this being what a controversial move by McLaren. And I'm they're trying to maintain a good working relationship. This isn't hard.
I think it's like it kind of, because like in a way, like my reaction is also that of like, oh, I was like, is this the moment where it happens? And I think what a lot of that is doing is like feeding into past F1 narratives, right? Is this the Schumacher, or even Senna? Like there was plenty of ruthless teammates, but like you said, it's a totally different era. I also just think the math on this one, you talk, what is it, a 3-point swing between second and third? There's probably 30 points in the title swing at the moment. Like it's just not worth fighting over. Like it's not that moment. But yeah, I think a lot of the reaction coming from the F1 media is a byproduct of just media in 2025, which is that you need to cling on to the narratives that present themselves and riff on them, and then by doing so, you're heightening something to a level that is probably undeserved. In a race that was ultimately, aside from the first few laps and that moment, a bit of a procession.
Well, Max Verstappen chuckles all the way to victory lane by 19 seconds.
Yeah. Could have taken another pit himself, maybe.
Yeah. In this, no less, the fastest race in F1 history. 1 hour, 13 minutes.
Wow.
A lot of records broken.
It probably took 4 times as long as that to get back to your car.
Right.
At Monza. From our Patreon email a few years ago.
Verstappen has some good things to say about his new team principal, Laurent Mickey's. He says in this quote from race fans, "Up until now, we've had a lot of races where we were just shooting left and right a little bit with the setup of the car, quite extreme changes, which shows that we were not in control. We were not fully understanding what to do. With Laurent having an engineering background, he's asking the right questions to the engineers, common sense questions. So I think that works really well. Plus, you try to understand from the things that you've tried. And then at one point, something gives you a bit of an idea of a direction, and that's what we kept working on." So I thought that was interesting that he said that, just to kind of contrast between maybe how Horner did things. He also illuminates a little bit about whether this is a return to form or just a kind of a one-off. He says it always seems like our car is a little more competitive when it's low to medium downforce. So it's not like suddenly now we're back. It's not like we can fight, I think, every single weekend. But the positive is that we seem to understand a little bit more what we need to do with the car to be more competitive. The rest of the podium is Lando Norris second, Oscar Piastri third, and then George Russell fourth, Charles Leclerc fourth, George Russell fifth, which is how the race started. Lewis Hamilton moves up 4 places from 10th to 6th place. Alex Albon finishes 7th. That's up 7 places. Nice. Gabriel Bortoleto comes home in 8th, Kimi Antonelli in 9th, and Isaac Hadjar from the back, 19th place, finishes in 10th.
9th?
He finishes 10th, up 9 places.
Oh. I have him as 9th there. Oh, no, sorry. I'm looking at the championship. My bad.
Carlos Sainz finishes 11th, followed by Behrman, Tsunoda, Lawson, Ocon, Gasly, Colapinto, and Stroll, with the DNF of Fernando Alonso and the DNS of Nico Hülkenberg.
Yeah, God, Stroll had a rotten race as well. Yeah, he had a funny post-race interview, just basically saying nothing. I think he had a 30-second pit stop in there as well at one stage. So just a real rough day for the Astons.
Yeah. Yeah, Antonelli also received a 5-second time penalty for driving erratically.
Erotically? Wait, no, he's quite young.
Child, Danny.
I know, I just realized he's sorry.
All right, we are going to take a quick break, and then we will be back with the nears. Apologies to all advertisers, because I forgot to take a break around the 20-minute
And apologies
mark.
for me making a comment about it.
We don't need to revisit it.
Okay, sorry.
Danny, why don't you just take the first news story?
Sure. Pierre Gasly, he doesn't have that. So that's why he's going to be sticking around at Alpine. Gasly has committed to Alpine until at least the end of F1 2028, which I think is really remarkable, because I'm not sure that Alpine has committed to F1 until the end of 2028. A quote here from Pierre: "As a Frenchman, especially driving for a French car company, makes me feel very proud, très proud. Since I joined in 2023, I have always felt this team is the right place to be in the future." Which are, again, brave words for somebody at the bottom of the constructors currently. Look, Gasly is he's in that tranche of F1 career
security.
Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Like, let's just sign a long contract. I'm not jumping up at the moment. There's too many rookies.
Now, mind you, if you're Colapinto, okay, they're loading you into the cannon. Like, Pierre's got a long deal, huh? Maybe they'll do my deal soon too. Maybe they want to lock us both up. Yeah, maybe they do.
I
did see Ricciardo saying some good things about Colapinto this weekend. Like he had finally, gotten some consistency. Who knows what that means for driver contracts? Remains to be seen. But at least he finally is saying something about, comparing the two, Colapinto and Doohan.
Yeah. Well, Gasly wants to make sure that he's still got a seat because you got all these IndyCar guys coming over here trying to take our jobs.
Rob, what is going on in that realm?
Oh man, I don't So
please contradict everything I said last week about this. I could not have been more wrong.
So there were some suggestions we know that Colton Herta has been tapped as a IndyCar driver with F1 potential, a lot of F1 interest. And with Cadillac entering the sport, for the first thing to sort of indicate what was up is that he signed on to be a test driver for the Cadillac program, and then there were all these rumors that that's not an empty move. He wants to make this happen. He's going to go to F2, and that is what he is doing. He is leaving IndyCar to go compete in Formula 2 with the goal of working his way into Formula 1, presumably, with the Andretti team at some point. They seem to be the ones with some investment, in his future there. Dan Taurus, who's the head of that organization, was, talking him up, discussing how back when Andretti was considering buying Sauber, Colton went over there and just smoked Raikkonen and Giovinazzi on the simulators. I'm curious what that means, because so we watched IndyCar, I don't really buy it anymore. Colton Herta is a very good driver. He sometimes has incredible one-lap pace. He is also the guy who is the author of his own misfortunes in race after race. It's consistency component of it, right? That there are moments where Colton Herta looks like one of the best drivers you've ever seen. And then the reason he's not winning races is because routinely you will see him do the dumbest thing imaginable, or just sometimes it's wow, look at how he look at that beautiful recovery. And it's that was a beautiful recovery from a mistake that he really avoided that accident he almost caused. And so I think there's a little bit of I sometimes wonder about Colton's judgment, and I kind of think this Formula 2 thing might be of a piece with that.
Right.
Formula 2 is not easy, and he's going to be sort of fighting his way in there.
Yeah, I mean, last week I thought it would be pretty remarkable if the F2 thing seemed to not be on the cards too. I believe it was his manager or somebody I mentioned last week had basically squashed that particular rumor. Or maybe I don't know.
I think we were also talking about rumors of Palou being picked up by Red Bull.
Oh, you're right.
Which
he
got nixed.
Yeah, so interesting. It's going to make F2 interesting. I'm minor spoilers, but it was not a great weekend for Alex Dunn in the championship at Monza. He crashed out in the feature race and failed to score points in the sprint. So bummer for Irish F1 fans, but it'll make next year's F2 that little bit more interesting.
What Formula 2 team he's going to? I was trying to scan this. I'm not sure that he has it.
I don't know. That's a key component of this.
Yeah, I would certainly like to know what team I'm joining. Maybe the gang at Prema can do him a solid. They're at IndyCar now. Maybe they can also we'll open a spot up for you. Don't worry about it.
Hey, you know who's not going to be racing in F2 next year? Daniel Ricciardo.
Or anywhere. Yeah. Yeah, so this is, I cannot stress how whack this entire thing was. So Daniel Ricciardo posted this thing on Instagram early last week. Him stroking his hand over the front grille of a car with the Ford logo. And he's ready for the next chapter or something like that.
And then
over the weekend, he announces it's a brand ambassador. You asshole! And then he's like, "I'm retiring from racing."
Yeah.
And if this is not the Daniel Ricciardo experience in a fucking nutshell, oh man, what's he gonna do? Be a marketing billboard for a brand and not race. That is and admittedly, following Drive to Survive, it sort of seems like there might be just a full loss of confidence and taste for motorsport that has happened to him over the past couple of years. But at his worst, he's one of the corniest dudes. And this was what a way to go out. Ooh, ready for the next chapter with Ford. You gonna be racing one? No. I'll be standing in front of one for press shoots, and occasionally I'll be driving one. You'll see me climbing out of one at a racing event, not as a racing driver, but just to showcase the new Ford SUV.
He is rocking a nice retirement beard that I will link in the show notes.
In the Instagram post, he's also driving a retirement truck, which I guess is one of his Fords, which I'm into. Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? I'm not surprised in some ways.
I'm a little surprised. I thought he might go to NASCAR or IndyCar or something.
I just think
he's scared
of
of
all.
ovals.
I also, the other thing I think is that a lot of these drivers don't have anything else going on, but Ricciardo always seemed like a guy who could have just been happy doing anything. You know
He's got a fashion brand.
He's got a wine. He's got a wine. He's got a beer. He's got a lot going on. He's got that smile. People want to see it. Yeah.
He's not a businessman. He's a
businessman.
businessman. Yep.
Yeah. Amen to him. Fair play.
All right. Speaking of F1, the business CEO Stefano Domenicali is out there saying a lot of things.
Well, he's an actor now. He's been in a scene with Brad Pitt, so
that's right. Yeah, diversifying. All right, we got a few articles here from Autosport that are quoting him as saying changes he wants to make in the future. More sprint weekends. Basically, what this boils down to is we're targeting Gen Z because he wants more sprint weekends.
Because they have short attention span.
Exactly. That's
not how attention spans work.
The first
more sprint
TikTok
weekends
race in.
He's they'd watch, but it just goes over their 45-minute attention span. We need to cut underneath that.
The quote here is, I have to say that aside from some older diehard fans, everyone wants sprint weekends. Promoters push for this format, and now the drivers are interested as well. I'm being a bit provocative, but free practice appeals to super specialists. People who want to see more action prefer a sprint weekend.
Yeah. I mean, he's not wrong, but I mean, he is wrong because he's saying he's leading with brands, which is the most important thing. He's like, yeah, of course, advertisers want more eyeballs on the thing, and that's the thing. But like, yeah, if you're going to a race weekend, I totally understand that you'd like to see that. But like, is it good for the sport? Like, what I'd also like to see is them like holding swords and fighting each other from the cars. But like, that's not a smart idea for the sport. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like these people are just like prisoners in solitary confinement who are stuck with the same toy, and they need to play with it in new and interesting ways, and like find ways to fuck with it. In some of the ways they come up with are just like idle hands and devil's playthings. Like stop it.
Yeah, I think. Sorry, go ahead, Rob.
No, I mean go for it.
Well, he doesn't stop there. He says, current races, quote, may be a bit too long for younger audiences. We're seeing on many of our channels that highlights do very well.
Oh my
I don't
God,
know
this
about you
guy's
guys.
pivoting to video or something, is he?
This makes my blood boil.
This is exactly
wait.
like
So
working at
people
a-
like watching the condensed versions of where all the action is that is generated over the course of a long race.
For free.
You think they watch it because it's short? You stupid motherfucker!
this is the most like fucking what is he Gen old brained.
This 12-minute supercut of overtakes and accidents and quick driver interviews did super well. Yeah, that's because it condensed, like it's all the action in 10 minutes. And yes, as you pointed out, free on your YouTube channel, which otherwise you're not. You have to have a
Guys,
cable
we should
subscription.
just make highlights. We should just like
F1
only-
House of Highlights.
Yeah.
No, we should put the highlights behind a paywall. That's going to be the next. Yeah, this is very much like the sort of CEO brain stuff that you get at when you work at a video game website or any website that has content or video. I will say did you notice that ESPN have put up longer highlights?
No.
So ESPN's F1 channel, at least here in the United States, is posting 20 to 25 minute highlights of the races using the Sky broadcasting.
Interesting.
I just saw it for Monza. I was like, oh, this is a way better way of watching it, because the ones that are on YouTube are pretty condensed. The highlights are
Like 7 minutes.
yeah, 7-8 minutes. And it's the feed I don't listen to, which I kind of like listening to in the highlights so I can hear what the other side was hearing.
Yeah,
but
and F1 TV does do a 30-minute highlight.
it does,
of
which
each
is
race.
very good. Yeah,
So
which I like.
There's a couple things with this too. If I'm a driver, if I'm a team, any of this, you're saying like, oh, we want to drastically increase the revenue of the sport by like doing more things that people are going to tune into, and the advertising revenue is going to be better. Great, cool. Then we need to be paid more money. Like that, especially if you like work at these teams. That is a different level of workload. I think just like having to do 2 race preps in a weekend. But even setting aside that, the notion that like practice is only there as a consumptive activity,
Right.
is kind of annoying. Like, is that why Formula One has like, fuck it, why not do 3 races? Like cold open on Friday,
We'll toss coins for qualifying. We'll draw lots.
Yeah. Like, that is not why we have practice. Like, this is a sport where teams do preparation for the Grand Prix. The reduction to, well, what will people watch is kind of gross.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the whole reason I am interested in this sport is because of things like that, is because of the preparation that goes into it and the buildup of drama and everyone trying their best to eke out performance and lap time here and there. And then we finally get to see the result of all that, and it's this big, meaty thing. I have another quote that I want to read here. Actually, 2 quotes from the polar opposites ends of the spectrum on the driver grid in terms of age. Here from Fernando Alonso first. Football matches are a little bit long. When I sit in front of the TV, I'm not watching the 90 minutes concentrated. I go to the kitchen, go back. I mean, there's always some moments of distraction. But no one is talking about having 60-minute football matches or something like that. It's a problem of the society and the kids, but not the sport. So probably it's not needed to change. Kimi Antonelli says, quote, It's a tough one. I think personally sprint weekends are fun because they have a lot of activity. You have to be on point straight away because you have one practice and then qualifying and then you go into a sprint race. But I think shorter races, I don't think it would really work. Already now with long races, we do one-stop strategies with the tires we have, and they would have to implement so many more rules for a shorter race in terms of pit stop.
So there have been so many, the issue is sometimes that these races are boring, and they can be boring sprint races too. It is Formula One struggles to maintain a rule set that generates a lot of interesting dynamic action. What Antonelli's pointing to is we already have used the tires to try and create opportunities for action strategically that are not coming up tactically on the track, with wheel to wheel action. It's just not how the sport works. The notion that, we can just shorten it. Well, one, they're promoters want this stuff. People want to go to a shorter race. Talk to baseball fans, how happy they are about the pitch clock and all the stuff that
Right.
accelerate. These things are a pain in the ass to get to. Mm-hmm. I go to all this effort and the race is 1 hour.
Yeah.
And it's all right, thank you for coming. Buy plenty of merch. That's a bad value proposition.
Yeah, and he's clearly talking about people who are not at the race. That's the respect that he has for the audience in this regard. Is he doesn't give a shit about the folks who are going to the actual circuit. And it's such a great example of people using the data that's available as the only metric for making decisions.
The drunk searching for the car keys under the street light because that's where the light is. Yeah. Well, and so often what is behind these things is there are people who don't like the sport. If all the people who didn't like the sport, we would make a lot of money. And it's yes, indeed, that is true. But they don't like the sport. And I don't think you know how to actually make them like the sport. But I do think your plan has a very good job of alienating the people who actually do. There's another thing he got to here where he was talking about he wants to make sure that the teams all work together to avoid specialty engineering language when they're talking about the the new cars that are rolling out next year, so it's not too complicated. And there's the thing. I think some of it is the drive to survive effect, or this awareness that there's this whole new audience, particularly in America, that's gotten more into F1. And I get it. Americans often seem dumb. Look at our politics. We can seem like a deeply stupid country, for sure. But actually, I don't think fundamentally we are. I don't think people who follow sport are actually that dumb at all.
You shouldn't speak down to them for sure.
And there is this notion that, we just need to make it accessible because people don't want it too complicated. Look at the level of casual conversation that exists in American football, college or pro broadcasts. The sophistication of the average fan now compared to where it was 20, 30 years ago is nuts. It's through the roof. The amount of concepts that have trickled down and the literacy of casual fans to understand really complicated parts of sport, because that's what people like to get into. They like getting, they like going gremlin. They like being sickos for a sport. It is not actually a barrier that, a sport can be hard to get into. It is part of the appeal. Is sort of unwrapping the mystery of what's going on in here.
And it's the richness and the value that you have as a fan is having accrued all this knowledge, having accrued all this history and it's like lore in Elden Ring. It's you think that all of this stuff is useless, but it's baggage, but it's adding this import to the entire thing. And it's like old person looks at trend and thinks it's going to continue forever, and they're we expanded the user base of this or viewership of this thing by making this very like by making this thing that's easy to understand on Netflix. But like that's not what happened. What happened is you created a door by making it human and personable, and people connected with the drivers. It wasn't that it was easy or simple. It was that you did the thing that is impossible to do during the race when they've all got helmets on. You made these people humans and gave them stories that, you know, and served it up to people. Like, it's just a complete fundamental misunderstanding. And it's just the problem when you are a sport that is determined to grow at all costs. Yeah. Like, if they really, really, really cared about getting the new generation involved, would you be constantly opening up all these street circuits in petro states? Like, was that the strategy to get the Saudi youth watching, to get all the kids in Baku watching? You know what I mean? Like,
which means that when a race does come through the UK or
it costs
France,
a fortune.
Germany, there's one race, and yes, the US has 3, but like they're in expensive locations, all distant from each other, so there's no locality. There's like your regional race that comes through, and that's kind of it. It's like it's a different nation's Grand Prix. So the tickets through the roof by design. At Vegas, they just started from the standpoint of none of this is going to be affordable.
Yeah,
totally.
I also just think, and I'll get off my soapbox here, but like the fundamental principle here is incorrect, and maybe these are imprecise analogies, but like, you look at the most popular podcast in the world. Like, not when I listen to the Joe Rogan show, it's like 4 hours long.
Right.
And to your point, Elden Ring, Danny, like sold how many million copies? Like, it is a humongous hit. Have you ever? No casual gamer. Like, that's not a casual gamer's game, but it is something that people get into and then go, in Rob's words, full goblin mode on, because you have to. It's really complicated. It is not easy, but that's why people like it.
Well, like, one, I think we're all agreed Stefano Domenicali needs his ass kicked. But two, this feels like another generational trend is people look at younger audiences coming up and they're not like these older audiences. They're all different. It's they like they like short form. They don't have attention spans and all that. And part of it is like, literally you're talking about kids. Like, what you like changes as you get older, right?
Yeah.
Like, suddenly you hit, I hit like my mid 30s, early 40s, and I'm like, baseball's making a whole lot of sense to me all of a sudden. This ain't half bad. Like, your tastes kind of change, but also there's an element of, I had talked about this at length before. I always sort of felt there was a little bit of a mirage when it came to younger audiences flocking to esports, because one of the dynamics I was aware of is like, well, sports, around this when this happened, like 2010s and such, we're still sort of in the hangover of the Great Recession. All traditional sports were basically gated behind cable subscriptions. There's no good national sports broadcasts anymore, except like a handful of football games a week. And then very, very few baseball games. There's just not much. But a lot of like your alternative sports, your esports, that shit was on YouTube. And it wasn't that like there was people had an appetite for watching competition. It was just all the traditional sports had gotten addicted to cable money. They'd gotten addicted to the same way, Danny, you're talking about like huge ticket expenses. The thing, you created gateways. You created gates that like affluent middle-aged people could go through. And then young audiences had to go find their own thing. But as they have aged up, I don't know what the stats are, but it does sort of seem like millennials did return to traditional sports. Once they aged up a bit and suddenly were in homes and like became demographically a lot more like their parents. And I think a similar thing is probably going on with Gen Z, where it's like, I don't know what these kids love short form shit. They're at school on their phones. Can you not understand? Like, TikTok fucking kills if you're at school on your phone and you have like 10 minutes between classes. Talk to me in 10 years when those people, like, to your point, Drew, you're working a job and you got a lot of time to kill. You're not going to be like browsing TikToks while like, pulling a shift. You're going to be like, I need this like a 5-hour fucking podcast to just demolish time.
Yeah, or I am exhausted from my 8-hour workday. I'm going to sit and watch cars go around in a circle for 3 hours. And that sounds
that's what I
great.
Want. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Does everything need to be TikTok? No, it does not.
Does everything need to be for everyone? Like, I think that it's just it's the quintessential like problem that a lot of people have with their audiences is not understanding that the specialization is part of the fun. It's part of the reason people are interested.
Yeah. Well, you know what Gen Z loves? Naturally aspirated engines with sustainable fuels, which is why
Okay, well,
I guess we're going toward V8s. They tried to fast track this. That's not going to happen in 2029, but it might. These engines might come back for 2031.
Oh,
is
boy.
the long and the short of it here.
That's very far.
We're running long, so I'm not going to get much further into that, but maybe I'll link it in the show notes, this Autosport article. Let's run down the standings here as we get toward the end of the pod. Driver Championship, Oscar Piastri on top still with 324 points, 31 points ahead of his teammate Lando Norris, who himself is 63 points ahead of the third place Max Verstappen. Then a 36 point gap down to George Russell in fourth, 31 points down to Charles Leclerc in fifth, and then 46 points down to Lewis Hamilton in sixth. Jumping up a spot is Alex Albon, now in seventh place, 47 points back from sixth place, but 4 points ahead of Kimi Antonelli in eighth, who is 28 points ahead of Isaac Hadjar in ninth. That's interesting, reading these point values here. Isaac moves up a spot to ninth. He is 1 place behind, but 28 points back from Kimi Antonelli. And I just feel like the narratives here have been completely different. Maybe it's because they're in, Mercedes versus a Racing Bulls car, but like all this, it's been just really negative around Antonelli. He just keeps messing up, and Toto Wolff keeps saying like, "Oh, he's our boy," but maybe I don't know. He's got to focus a little more. Isaac Hadjar can do no wrong. I love Isaac Hadjar, but it just seems like the voices in the media are different around here. Nico Hulkenberg in 10th, 1 point behind Hadjar. And we've got Lance Stroll in 11th, followed by Alonso, Ocon, Gasly, Lawson in 15th. Gabriel Bortoleto moves up 2 spots into 16th place. He's now 2 points ahead of Behrman and Sainz, who are tied on points. Tsunoda's in 19th. Colapinto still has 0 points in 20th. And Jack Doohan also down in 21st place with 0. In the constructors' standings, McLaren is on top with 617 points. That is 337 ahead of second place Ferrari, who are 20 points ahead of Mercedes in third, who themselves are 21 points ahead of Red Bull in fourth. I'm thinking this is 8 races to go? Anything can happen there between second and fourth. Williams is in 5th place, 153 points back, but 24 points ahead of Aston Martin in 6th. They're only 1 point ahead of Racing Bulls in 7th, who are 6 points ahead of Sauber in 8th. Gene Haas and team are in 9th, and Alpine is in 10th. And last, if you would like to join the standings yourself, you can join our official Shift+F1 Fantasy League using the link in the show notes. It is a 3-way tie in the Italian Grand Prix between. All these teams seem to have. They have a badge next to their teams that says "Limitless." So, yeah, cost
they took
cap
the pill?
infinite. Yeah, I think
They took the Limitless pill?
They took the Bradley Cooper pill.
Wow.
And
Great
they were able
series.
to draft any driver.
They're using 100% of their brain, unlike us.
So the winning strategy was Piastri, Norris, Verstappen, Leclerc, Hamilton, McLaren, Ferrari. Yeah. Maybe you get to do that once per season. I'm not sure of the actual rules here. Anyway, the top 3 are Super Karate Monkey Death Car, Russell Sprout Racing, and Verstappen Hammer Time. But overall, it's familiar names. In third place, Bring Back Marlboro. In second, Ukulele, parentheses Endor 8000. And in first, F1 banned my team name. You can send us an email if you like, shiftf1podcast@gmail.com or f1.cool/emails. You can also hit us up on the socials using the link in the show notes. That's us around the internet. Should we take it around the world, Danny?
Let's race around the world. Yeah.
We've got the World Rally Championship in Bio.
B-O-B-O.
Bio. In the town of Concepcion.
Ooh, that's where the babies get made.
Rally Chile. We've got the Craftsman trucks at Bristol Motor Speedway for the UNO 200 presented by Ohio Logistics. That's UNOH in all caps. The NASCAR Xfinity Series also at Bristol for the Food City 300. MotoGP is at Misano World Circuit Mercosimoncelli for the San Marino round. We also have DTM.
Oh, finally, it's been too long.
Yeah, we have the Red Bull Ring in Spielberg, Austria.
I love it. It's my favorite ring. I make this joke every year.
What else is going on? The Goodwood Revival is happening this weekend.
It's about time we revived Goodwood. All this bad wood around here.
Motocross Grand Prix of China is this weekend. The NHRA 40th NHRA Reading Nationals. Is that reading
Reading?
like we love books, or is it pronounced Reading?
Is it Reading?
It's spelled reading, but perhaps pronounced
It's probably
Reading.
Reading.
Parentheses Maple Grove Raceway in Moulton, PA. Supercars are at the Bend. Tallium Bend in Australia.
The Bend. Down the Bend. See you down the Bend, mate. See you down the Bend, bring some tinnies, mate.
And we got NASCAR. Also at Bristol for the Bass Pro Shops night race.
I love a Bass Pro Shop.
The Bass come out at night.
I like
And as
that
we
shot.
learned in the Earnhardt documentary, fishing, very key to a successful NASCAR career.
Fishing and mustaches. That's it. You're
right.
halfway there, Drew.
That's right.
You ever fished? You probably fished a
I
bit,
have
did you?
fished, yes. Not in some time. Apparently,
never really
fishing popular with the kids. Gen
Kids
Z.
love fishing? That's what they're
Yeah.
into?
Uh-huh.
Wait, you're saying the people with low attention spans who...
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Let's start a Gen Z consultant company.
Yeah. How about we fix the planet? That would be nice for them. So they're not looking down the barrel of not owning a home, everything being on fire.
I don't follow.
And okay.
That's what's happening this weekend, Danny. What happened on this day in the past?
Oh, on this day in the past. By the way, we lost Rob. His internet went down, but we're going to keep going without him.
Okay.
He said as much in the Discord there. So
Okay.
We're good to go. We'll finish without Rob. Today in the past, September 10th. Never forget that it's one day ahead of when we record this. Where is it? Here it is, September 10th. Do we have a dog ear? We do not. September 10th. The penultimate
do you
race.
dog ear all the dates we've done?
I don't know if I do.
Okay.
But last week I had one, so I was like, oh, okay.
Got it.
I'm not dogging earing it right now, so maybe I should. I'll dog
All right.
it right now. So we have it. The penultimate race of the season at Monza on this day in 1961 saw the Ferrari drivers Wolfgang von Trips and Phil Hill pitched against each other for the driver's title, but the racing was overshadowed by a shocking accident. At the start when Jim Clark and Von Trips collided as they approached Parabolica. Is this the F1 movie? Clark was unhurt, but Von Trips' car hit a spectator fence and was thrown into a roll, killing Von Tripp. Oh no. And 14 spectators.
Oh my God.
It had been too long. It was loading
You're
bullets
right.
in the chamber this whole time.
Yeah, it's like an earthquake, the tension, the longer it builds up, the worse it's going to be.
Phil Hill went on to win and become the first American F1 champion. Congratulations, Phil Hill. Clark was unhurt that day and lined up pole at Monza again on this day in 1967 when he produced one of his truly great drives. He led from the start, but a flat tyre on his Lotus meant he had to pit, and he lost a whole lap to the leaders. When he came back out, he drove out of his skin and made up an entire lap and amazingly took the lead again. Fuel pump problems on the last lap dropped him to third behind Surtees and Brabham, but he had yet again proved his genius behind the wheel. And perhaps most importantly, Drew, he did not kill a dozen or so spectators.
Well,
Yeah.
that's a nice one to leave everyone with. All right, we'll be back next week for the pre-Baku race.
Baku. We have a little break. It's not a break, I guess. We used to just have, this used to be the way things were.
yeah.
You had a race and then there was no race.
We're not taking a break. F1 is.
No, exactly. Sleepy.
Yeah.
We
So,
have attention. You all
final.
have no attention spans. See, I couldn't even let you finish the sentence, Drew.
I know, Danny, you're hooked on the
We gotta
TikToks.
go. We gotta go to the F1. F1. If you have no attention span, become a patron. We got a million things for you to check out. If you're Gen Z right now, if you're Gen Z and if you're listening to this on the TikToks, you know,
Listen to our podcasts at 2.5x speed.
exactly. If you've YouTube Premium, you can now go 4x, which seems past
You
the
can?
point of human listening.
Yeah, that's not.
As someone who edits in 2x often, just to get through it, man.
All right. Well,
Anyway, I miss
final-
Rob already.
Yeah.
That's my final thought. My final thought is I miss Rob. Baku's
Okay.
fun, and let's see how the McLarens see how they get on. The 30. It's all about that Lando retirement. It's that 30-point gap. So
Yep.
that's the biggie. That's the biggie.
I just saw that it was like a fuel hose leak or something that they have fixed. So maybe it'll happen to Piastri. Who knows? If you would like to support the show and get access to all of our bonus episodes, the early ad-free version of the podcast, and the official Shift F1 Discord, you can do so over at patreon.com/ShiftF1. Have a good race weekend, everyone. We will see you all next week.